Okay, let's start the chapter 2. Okay, in this chapter, we'll be talking about traits, behaviors, and relationships between leaderships and people follow the leaders. The learning objective of this is to outline some personal traits and characteristics that are associated with the effective leaders. Identify your own traits that you can transform into your strength. There are so many traits, so identify your own traits and bring to a leadership role. Distinguish among various roles of leaders play in the organization. There is more than one role, including operational role, collaborative role, and advisory role, and where your strength might fit. We're also going to recognize the autocratic versus democratic leadership behavior and the impact of each. Know the distinction between people-oriented and task-oriented leadership behavior and when each should be used. Furthermore, understand how the theory of individualized leadership has broadened the understanding of relationship between the leaders and followers. We'll do that mostly in the down chapters, not now. Describe some key characteristics of entrepreneurial leaders. Now, traits. What's a trait? It is the distinguishing personal characteristic of a leader. What does it have? What does he have or what does she have? Such as intelligence, honesty, self-confidence, and appearance. Now, a great man approach or a great person approach, a leadership perspective that shall to identify the inherited traits leaders possess that distinguish them from people who were not leaders. So they say there is some traits in a great man or a great person that the others don't have it in general. Now, some leader characteristics could be a personal characteristic such as the energy, full of energy, passion, down to earth or humility, physical stamina. In the field of intelligence and ability could be a smart or intelligent, cognitive abilities, have knowledge, judgment, and decisiveness. Now it could be in personality, that's all in the side of individual, optimism, cheerfulness, self-confidence, honesty and integrity, has charisma, desire to lead, and independence. I think when you're naming these characteristics or traits, you might have some people comes in your mind, historically or currently. In the social part of characteristics, there is sociabilities, interpersonal skills, cooperatives, ability to enlist cooperation, has tactic, and has a diplomacy. Now, when it comes to the work-related characteristic, drive, desire to excel, have a dependability, fair-mindedness, and perseverance and tenacity. and might have a social background such as education and mobility, or part of family sectors or something. Now, optimisms. Let's go through some of them. The tendency to see the positive side of things and expect that things will turn well. There is what he has or she has a self-confidence, assurance in one judgment, decision-making, ideas, and capabilities. Excuse me. Honesty, truthfulness, and non-deceptions. The other traits might have some kind of an integrity, which is a quality of being a whole, integrated, and acting according with a solid ethical principle, ethical person. There is a drive, which is high motivation that creates a high effort level by a leader. Now, you want to know your strength. As we mentioned, you could be have some of them or one of them, and you can emphasize on them, on that part. A leader does not need all of the skills to handle every problem. Independent is a key to success. Leaders should hone their skills, collaborate with others. A strength, a natural talent or ability that has been supported and reinforced with the learned knowledge and skills. So there is some strength in the leader. Could be physical, could be a knowledgeable, information, something like that. Now, matching strength with the roles. You have some strength and you want to match it with the roles. It could be an operational role. And in this operational role, it could be a vertically oriented leadership role. Now, so within your sectors or your side is vertically oriented. It could be an executive has a direct control over people and resources. That's one of the operational role. Uses the position power to accomplish result, and leaders traditionally line and general management position is kind, or focus on result also, so they can be line manager or general manager position, focus on result because they are operational role, self-confidence and assertive, analytical and knowledgeable, and translate the knowledge into a vision or information, because vision derives from information and knowledge comes into. Now, matching strengths with roles. We talked about in the first slide the operation role. Now we're going to talk about the collaborative group role. The collaborative role is about horizontal leadership role. So it's cross probably different sectors. It in the communication with different sectors or different part of the team. Work behind the scene and use personal power to influence others and get things done. And leaders could be, in this case, project managers, matrix managers, team leaders. We'll explain each one of them. People skills for networking and building relationship, and proactive and flexible. Now, the other thing is the advisory role. So the previous one, operation role, collaborative role. Now we're talking about advisory role. Provide guidance and support. Responsible for developing a broad organizational capabilities rather than accomplishing specific business result. So can talk to others and have a team, building team. These type of leaders could be the legal, could be the finance, could be the human resource department. It has the people skills, ability to influence others, and honesty and integrity. So the three types of leadership roles is, we said, operational, collaborative, and advisors. And operation could be a division president or manager. Collaborative could be a project manager, and advisory could be part of a human resource management. Look at this, it's a good one. Now, let's look at the behavior approaches. So we heard of autocratic, democratic, politicians, and we are looking for, when we talk about politicians, you would see always hear that whether we hire autocratic or a democratic person. So what's an autocratic? Centralized authority and derives of power from position, control of rewards, and coercion, effective when the skills difference between the leader and subordinate is high. So the autocratic has more skills. The democratic one is delegate authority, encourage participation, relies on subordinate knowledge for completion of tasks, and depends on subordinate respect for influence. Now, effective if subordinate process decision-making skills, especially if there is a high-end skills and specialization in that. A democratic probably would be more effective if the leader does not have these skills, all these type of skills. So there is type of leadership continuum. It doesn't have to be clear cut. It could be shifting, where you can use your authority by managers as a manager, and there where you areas of the freedom for subordinate. So you notice here that base center leadership, it could be managers makes a decision and announce it. That's use of authority by manager. The extreme part is subordinate centered leadership, and this is a boss leader centered and subordinate, where the manager permits subordinates to function with a limit defined by superior. So it's not a clear cut. It is a combination of the situation. My advice is depend on the situation. You might want to start from here and then adjust back to according to different effects or in the environment that you're working in. Now, there is Ohio State studies, the studies done by Ohio, developed and administrated to the leader behavior description questionnaire. They did that to employees, and they resulted into two categories of leadership, two types of consideration and initiation of structure. I did do a lot in the initiation structures. Sometimes we had to move into the consideration also, according to the company requirement. Consideration, the extent to which a leader is sensitive to subordinate, respect their ideas and feeling, and establish mutual trust. On the other hand, the extent to which a leader is task-oriented and direct subordinate work activities toward a goal achievement. Usually, when you establish a new business, you might want to start with the initiation structure, and then you do some consideration setup also. Now, there is another study by University of Michigan, which is they resulted in kind of describing what's an employee centered. Employee centered is the leadership behavior that display a focus on the human needs of subordinate, pay them well, take care of them, they will take care of everything. That's what they said. And then you have the job centers, which is a leadership behavior in which the leaders direct activities toward efficiencies, come on time, focus on work, all these, and cost cutting and scheduling with an emphasis on a goal and work facilitation. Most of project managers usually start with the job centers, maybe will be as they become a leader, they move to employee centers. Now, a leadership grid, a two-dimensional leadership model that describes a major leadership style based on measuring both concerns for people and concerns for production. So both it has to be balanced. Look at this, and it's depend on the situation. You might be in this corner where impoverishment of management, and we want to go to the high concerns for people and high concerns for result. If you manage that, then you're pretty high in a leadership. So you can, as low as start impoverishment management, you might have what you call country club management, highly in the people, or in the middle, which is the road management. And you could be a very result oriented, so you have an authority compliance, or you can be a team manager also. Look at this, look at the definition and see where do you fit between all these, or how you can manage that. Anyway, the themes of the leader behavior, as we said, there is a people-oriented behavior and there is a task-oriented behavior. In the people-oriented behavior, you acknowledge accomplishment, you respect people, you are positive, give the time and encouragement, show acceptance and compassion, and display trust. In the task-oriented behaviors for the leaders is a clarified task, objective, and job responsibility, set performance, expectations, plan use of resources, coordinate activities, check your progress and quality of work, evaluate performance. Now, if you look at your professors, you might want to see them in one of these categories more than the others. Now, so in the leadership styles, when it comes to the people-oriented behavior, the Ohio result says, and based on the studies done by the Ohio universities and Michigan and Texas, the people-oriented one is more to consideration, employee-centered, concerns for people. On the other side is more initiating structure, job-centered concern for productions. Now, my advice is like you should have some kind of a flexibility, whether there's just the first project, startup project, you might want to more emphasize toward the task-oriented behavior. Once you feel very much trust your employees, secure, they understand you and you understand them, it's important that to move to people-oriented behavior. But when you're a task-oriented behavior, show that your willingness to move to people-oriented behavior in the same time. Now, individual leadership or individualized leadership, a theory based on the notion that a leader develops a unique relationship with each subordinate or a group member, which determines how the leader behaves toward the member and how the member respond to the leader. So once you see some group, you find the leader treats some different people differently. Now, leader behavior toward in a group versus out group members. So you have in a group subordinate and the out group subordinate. In the in-group subordinate, usually provide support and encourage when the employee faces a difficulty and stressful task. Out of group subordinate shows a little consideration if the employee is having difficulties with the task. Now, when he's in a group, discuss the objective, trust employees to use his or her own approach to solving a problem and reaching goals. Out of group is usually gives the employee specific directive for how to accomplish tasks and attain goals. In group subordinate, listen to employees' suggestions and ideas about how work is done, treats mistakes as opportunity for coaching and developing employees, gives employee interesting assignment, may allow employee to choose assignment, sometimes differs to subordinates' opinions, and praises the accomplishment and the performance improvement. That's in subgroup. In the out of group, we said about these 2 points. Third point shows a little interest in employees' comment and suggestion. Criticize or punish mistakes. Assign primary routine jobs and monitor employees' scores. They're out of group, they're not part of this group. Usually impose own views, focus on area of poor performance. Interesting, huh? Leader members exchange. Individualized leadership model that explores how leader-member relationship develop over time and how the quality of exchange relationships affect the outcome. If you look at the CEOs in general, you will see each CEO has his own team. And if he moves from one company to another, he usually brings some people with him. And these are his team members. These how is treating them within the group. So that's what you call the group subordinate. Now, when he's joining different organization and they're still out group subordinates. But accept the team he brings with him or select within the organization to be close with him. Now, leader or LMX, leader members exchange, leader from high quality relationship with all followers. High quality relationship leads to a better performance. Followers provide assistance for high performance and participate in and influence decisions. Now, there is what you call, we said in the early, there is certain traits, what's called entrepreneurial traits and behavior. In entrepreneurship, initiation of business venture, such as initiation of business venture, and I teach entrepreneurship, organizing the necessary resource and assuming the associate risk and reward. Entrepreneurship does not have to own the resources. Entrepreneur usually looks at not owning the resources, access to the resources. There's a four important characteristics for it, and entrepreneurs usually have a vision and dissatisfaction with the present right now. So he wants to come up with a new product, new service to make it better. Ability to get people on board. And I call my style, I call it as a drop of blood in the sea, how to collect sharks and losers. Ability to get people on board, flexibility, openness to feedback, and ability to learn and adopt, persistent and execution. I use this drop blood in a sea when I established the higher education solutions within the organization of ITS. So we got to the end of the chapter, and we'll explain the situation, how I went and became the leader for the higher education solution or established the entrepreneurship. Put it this way, not a leader for other products, other industries, except for this, and I'll explain to you. Now we finish the chapter. Thank you very much.